Kernick tweeted at us, what are the chances that Kansas City takes the Notre Dame running back? And so as I read this pick, which is in, I remind everyone, the selection was made by Field Yates before the terrible news about the knee injury to Patrick Mahomes. And obviously we and the entire football world wish the great Patrick Mahomes a speedy recovery. There's nothing, regardless what team you root for, there's nothing in the world more fun than watching Patrick Mahomes play quarterback, and we're all looking forward to seeing him do it again. That said, in this mock draft field at 14, you do have the Chiefs taking Jeremiyah Love, the running back from Notre Dame, who finished, I believe, third, right, in the Heisman voting. Yes. So let's talk about him, regardless of the fit here now field, as we look at him as a running back and an NFL prospect. Guys like you are drooling over this thing.
Totally. So let's go back to the past couple of years. We have seen 3 running backs taken in the top 12 picks in the last 2 drafts, right? So we had Jameer Gibbs, also Bijan Robinson. It was actually Robinson 8, Gibbs 12. Last year we had Ashton Jeanty go 6th overall. I think grade is in that same exact tier here for Jeremiyah Love, which means he could go much higher than where I had him in this draft, which is 14th overall. If you're going to make a profile comparison for Bijan Robinson, then he is Ashton Jeanty. Jeanty is power, contact balance, a tenacious runner between the tackles. The Raiders don't give him -5 yards for contacts per carry. Bijan, unbelievable runner as well. Super buttery smooth. Makes people miss in the hole. Outstanding in the passing game. Jeremiyah Love is that. The vision is tremendous. Some of the stuff that he did to make defenders not just miss, but to miss in embarrassing fashion this year for Notre Dame. Extremely explosive. I will reiterate what I said last week for people that didn't see it. I think Jeremiyah Love goes off the board before 14th overall, and maybe well before 14th overall. Me, principally, on December or whatever day it was, 10th, the draft, mock draft went out. I can't say, hey, teams like Washington, who have a need at running back, but have so many other needs, should be filling running back before they spent their resources on pass rushers or corners or wide receivers as well. Now, these teams will check off a lot of needs during free agency, right? So I think Jeremiyah Love eventually finds a home inside the top 10. I just think, Mel, that we've seen some buyer beware here, but there's no two ways about how great of a player he is.
Yeah, and I think if you look at those teams, such as Washington, have Jayden Daniels coming back healthy, and it's so sad for Patrick. This time of the year, we're talking about December, come back from that injury, get ready for next year, and Jayden Daniels certainly the injuries this year, but when he's back healthy, Jayden to have a running back and who can move around, and can be such a weapon in the passing game, and a great runner, a game breaker. We talk about all the long runs he had, those games where those runs where you can give him the ball at the 10-yard line, you can take it 90 yards. That's the type of back we're talking about here with Jeremiyah Love. So if you compare him with Jayden, you got Krusky Merritt, you got Rodriguez. They had, like I talked about, they had Algier in Atlanta, drafted Bijan. So when you have solid backs, but now you have a spectacular back, there's nothing wrong with going that direction. For Kansas City, I keep hearing, and Greeny, you know this, people say I'm crazy all the time, and I came up with this whole thing with running backs. Don't take him in the first round, but you're so great. He's my 3rd highest rated player, and people are saying nobody should take this guy. Now I got to try to defend Jeremiyah Love, a great player, and say, well, why wouldn't Kansas City? Well, Andy Reid got Pacheco in the 7th round. Yesterday against the Chargers, there was no running game. They scored in the second half, but prior to Patrick getting hurt, which was late, they didn't have scored in the second half. They had no running game. One team could run the ball less than they did yesterday, or worse running. It was the Cleveland Browns. They got nothing. Actually, Shador had more yards than the running back did. So at the end of the day, I think at 14, if you were there, Field and Greeny, if you were there, you got to be screaming that this has got to be the pick. So I get the philosophy of not taking a running back, but when you got a Kansas City Chiefs football team, and you pick it in the middle of the first round, or even now with Patrick Hurt, see where they end up picking, and you get a shot at Jeremiyah Love, and that's a no-brainer. That's automatic. Even forget the philosophy. That's a guy who's going to elevate, and he's going to give Patrick Mahomes a great weapon in the passing game as well, with the ability to move flank him out wide. So Jeremiyah Love just isn't a running, he's not just one-dimensional. He's a multi-dimensional player. Reggie Bush went 2nd in the draft because that's what he was. I say you could put 85 on him, make him a slot receiver, like number 5, right, at USC. Same thing with Jeremiyah Love. That's a fear factor player, multi-dimensional talent. I'm with you. I got 3rd overall. I don't see him being around at that point. Somebody's going to take him, I think, in the top 10, just as you said.
Yeah, I fully believe he goes in the top 10. I just principally, like these mocks are not, predicting exactly how the draft will go. Some of it is opining when you're this early in the process. I just think it would be bad business if we get to the draft and teams like the Commanders and others who are picking in the top 10 haven't addressed major glaring needs that are simply harder to find, right? I mean, it's a proven fact that it's harder to find a great offensive tackle than it is to find a great running back. If that were the opposite, then it would be running backs who make $30 million per season at the top of the food chain, as opposed to offensive tackles who do, while the top running back is now at $20 million in Saquon Barkley.
So, this may be a whole separate episode that we could do on a different day. But one of the things we're going to do on Get Up this week is we look at some of the teams that are eliminated, is have conversations about whether this is a rebuild or a retool kind of a situation. And I think the answer to that question in Kansas City would go a long way towards deciding this. Because I've heard a lot of people now say they believe that the Chiefs need to just build the whole thing from the ground up again around Mahomes. That his group made its run. They've got the hardest part, right? The hardest thing in the world to do is to find the franchise quarterback to put in the middle of it. They've got that whenever it is that he's healthy again. But that maybe on some level this will give them the opportunity to rebuild the whole thing from the ground up. If you're doing that, you probably don't start with a running back. No matter how good you think the player is. So that could be a different topic for a different time. Which teams should be trying to just put a piece or two in place here and there, and which others should be trying to tear the whole thing down and build it up again? One way or another, in this mock, we have Jeremiyah Love going.
Got very good ball skills as well, and he had one of the best opposer passing ratings allowed in all of FBS. And that's a good thing for a corner, as in, like, the number was very low when teams targeted DeLon this past season. Now, there was some debate early on in the draft process. How much speed does he bring to the table? Remind people on the podcast last year, in September or October, we brought up, hey, Will Johnson's speed is going to be a question mark. He ends up going around because of speed and also injury concerns. I'm not saying it's quite that dramatic here for Mansour. That being said, I think now the trait that may, in some people's eyes, dictate a floor versus a ceiling is just how fast he is. Now, I have had some people say, well, he hasn't run a 40. They've done some of their metrics, and his speed is good enough. I don't think, though, this is some 4.35 flyer, though.
Yeah, I think the speed, recovery speed is the concern. There's no question about that. And there's going to be some competition. Jermont McCoy, coming out of injury. We thought he would be a lockdown corner in Tennessee. Unfortunately, an injury in January precluded him from coming back, prevented him from doing that. So he would be in that mix. And then you think about Terrell at Clemson, but you also think about Kelly Jones at Mississippi State, who's got enormous talent. Did a really good job in coverage overall down there in the SEC for the Bulldogs. For me, it's still to be determined. I think, in terms of consistency from game in and game out at the collegiate level, he was outstanding. But that speed, now he tests, his combine pro day would be tremendously important because there's going to be competition for that CB1 spot.
Yeah, I don't think there is to borrow a corner spot. There's no lockdown to the number one corner as of right now. It's a little bit of beauty in the eye of the beholder. The Vikings, of course, under Brian Flores, one of the things I love about Flo most is that he's a talent maximizer, right? He identifies strengths, plays to them. He identifies limitations, avoids them. So this would be a scheme I would feel comfortable with DeLon playing in the NFL.
So a reminder, all the draft order that we're using is from last week. That's when Fields' mock draft was put up. So at this point, the number 12 pick would belong to the Miami Dolphins, and you have them selecting the edge out of Auburn, Keldrick Falk. And then the chime is here with the 13th pick in the 2026 mock draft 2.0 done by Phil Yates. The Ravens select defensive tackle Peter Woods from Clemson. Fielding.
Yeah, and by the way, not only